Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology, and instructional coach for my district.
And I'm our producer and husband, Fuzz Martin, and I had the novel idea to start this podcast way back like in 2018.
That was a good one.
Was that okay?
That was clever.
A little inside baseball. My first pun bombed. So we redid this intro. That one wasn't so much better, but it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Episode 130.
130.
130.
Nice.
And here we are in October.
Nice. The
Fall.
leaves are falling. It rains every time we come to record.
And it's cold,
Crisp,
which is
pumpkin spicy.
glorious.
Yeah.
And the children are in a routine and not climbing the walls yet. It's a good time of year. Field trips to the pumpkin farm are occurring.
Oh, yeah.
And the apple place.
Yeah.
And all the things.
All the different places that you can go.
Yeah. So we should tell a story about it.
And then pretty soon, at least in our neck of the woods, it will be it'll be snowing. Okay. Remember like 3 years, was it 3 years? Was it 3 years ago? We had 6 inches of snow on Halloween.
And at least 4 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trick-or-treating in the snow.
Yeah.
Except for it was cold. And then you had to like winterize your Halloween costume.
Yeah.
But it was memorable.
It was.
So we should tell a story about that too.
We could.
We tell all these stories.
That was my story.
Guess what?
What?
Guess what? We're going to talk about stories.
Oh, man. Who would have thunk?
So all of my fun teacher friends out there who are doing some sort of writing unit, whether it's a memoir or a narrative, I have a site that can help you and your kiddos out. So it's called My Storybook. My Storybook is the site of the week. And it's super cool. It is an easy create a storybook site. And you can create them for free digitally. If you want to get fancy and print them, then you have to pay for them. But as long as you keep them digital, you totally can. So it's mystorybook.com, mystorybook.com. And you just sign up with an email. So your kiddos could just link it in with, just sign up with their school email. As long as they have school email, they can use it. And what's cool is you just have, it says My Storybook. And then you can choose templates. So you can create your storybook. You can start totally from scratch. Or if you want to start your students off with some story starters to kind of get them used to the site or how you want them to write, they like fill in the blank stories that you can start with, where you pick that and it gives you kind of a sentence and you plug in a word to kind of get you started, or with your younger students if they're setting up a story. And even in those templates, you can add your own pages to them, which is pretty cool. So you can choose to use that story or create your own. And when you go to create a story, it's really straightforward. You get My Storybook, you type in your title. We're going to talk about the Hungry Podcaster.
Oh, the Hungry Podcaster. Are you saying that because my stomach's growling?
It is. It's growling, and it's kind of amazing. So, title, The Hungry Podcaster. And what's cool about this site is for kiddos, it's very easy. So if you have some, like I'm thinking elementary students that are not the strongest typers yet, and they're still kind of working on their keyboarding skills, this is a great place for them to start on their keyboarding skills and telling a story. And so like description, what's my story about? A hungry podcaster whose tummy is rumbling.
Sure is.
Rumbly tumbly. That's like that came from something.
The Hungry Caterpillar?
Oh no. Remember that show Amazon Prime? The Blue Fox. Tumbleweed. Anyway, it was rumbly tumbly. So Hungry Podcaster. So what you're going to do then, you're going to take each set as you're typing. So the student can type in the description, and then it's very easy. You can add a scene. They have little backgrounds where you can click and choose different backgrounds. They have like a little playground. You can choose a space theme. You can choose, or just solid colors, and you can put that in there. And then there's a little shape or picture area. So you can drop in cute little animals. They have adorable little cows, and you can add different sizes and shapes and add little cow friends, and you can add dogs and sheep and elephants and lions and tigers and bears and hats and wanted posters and oh my goodness, there's so many picture choices. So you can choose pictures or specific characters. So you can add a person, and if you have your person in there, oh my goodness, they can have different accessories.
Mhm.
They can have body styles. They can have facial expressions. They can have facial hair. You can change their head shape and their blazer clothing, and if they're sitting or if they're crouching. So there's just so many different options, and the student creates the pictures, but they're all in there for them. So they can go crazy, but they don't have to. You don't have to worry them pulling outside sources or anything like
Sure,
that,
yeah,
especially elementary students
Yep.
that get overwhelmed and want to put all the things in there. So I dropped a cow in the very hungry podcaster, Rumbly Tumbly. And so then you can go ahead and make your little picture, and then you click add page, and the next page drops in, and you create an image and you type in your story text, and you can edit them if you choose to, and then you add page, and then you make a picture and add story text. So a lot of it, like our early students that are practicing their narrative writing or they write short memoirs, this is perfect because they can create their own story. You just add pages as they need to. So you can set like a little goal, maybe like 2 pages a day, or maybe they're going to work on through, as a class, you guys can work through it. Everybody has their little storybook, and it's very user-friendly and very great for starting on the computer and those types of like skill level.
Sure.
And then when you're done, they just click done editing and they have their story. You can choose to read their story, and then it like goes slide to slide so they could share it with the class if they want to, or they can turn it, and you can turn public to private. But if you turn it to public, they can then click the button and it shares directly to Google Classroom.
Oh, okay.
And or email, so they can email it to their parents. There's like Facebook, Twitter on there, but we wouldn't be using social media with our students. And or Google Classroom. So you just click Google Classroom, and then the story, they just choose the Google Classroom to connect it to, and it will turn it right in for them or share it with you. So it's really kind of a cool thing where it's very user friendly. It's great for elementary students who are starting to type and have a story created and create their own scenes, and then they can easily share it with you, or they can email it home to their parents. And if you want to just share it, like when you click the read the story button, once it's done, they could go through the slides and share their stories with the class as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really kind of all-in-one, user-friendly, cool little site to create digital stories with.
I like that it asks, like, so I did the hobbies book, and it asks you the questions for like the story prompts. So like, what is your favorite hobby and when did you start doing it? My hobby is podcasting, and I started in 2005. Why do you enjoy your hobby? What emotions do you feel when you do it? When I podcast, I feel like I'm having fun creating. What is a different hobby that you'd like to try doing one day? Someday, I'd like to be a snowboarder. However, my knees are bad from years of lifting heavy weights. So that's my hobby.
Did you add any additional pages or flip-flop pages within your story or no?
No, but I did add pictures and some people and backgrounds and things.
Cool. They also have my favorite day of summer and my superhero.
Oh.
And to any one of those, while you're creating, they can create pages and drop those pages into after you have the story starter in there. So you can add pages within the story as well.
That's great.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a fun.
And then you have a little library, and it saves all your stories, which is great. Then they can come back to them and they can look at their writing from the beginning to the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it's just a neat, easy to use way to share stories.
Agreed. Really fun. So it's mystorybook.com, and pretty neat.
Yeah. So when you're doing some writing with your kids and you want them to do some typing as well, they can create little storybooks, and then they can share those out if they want.
Cool.
There you go.
Good tool.
Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com or find me on Facebook. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartnwi or visit smartnwi.com and click on that cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep this show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart in WI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do. Thanks for listening.